Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to kick off Sports Sunday, so sit back and relax while public address announcer Tony Giles introduces the starting lineup.
Now, your starting lineup for Sports Sunday. Starting at anchor, a 5'4" Aries from Centerville, Virginia, and a wannabe Wisconsinite. She's a former cross-country star at James Madison University. Put your hands together for Jen Chapman. Also starting at anchor, a 6' Leo from Birmingham, Alabama. He's got a degree in graphic design from ITT Technical Institute. He's a father of 3, B.J. Millican. This is Sports Sunday.
Hey everybody, it's been a rough year for the Knicks, Jen, but here's the highlight maybe of the year. Last night a fan nails a half-court shot, earns himself 10,000 smackers. How about that? Watch it again. The best part of this, Jen, though, he did not have to eat a single donut to earn that money. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, I'm just saying.
I worked hard for that $400.
You did. It's not 10,000, though. I mean,
That's true. Maybe we should
start working on your half-court shot. Welcome in, everybody, to Sports Sunday. I'm B.J. Millican, alongside Krispy Kreme Challenge Women's Champion, Jen Chapman.
Well, it was a tough one, but I got it. So, you know what would be sweet for Alabama women's basketball? A win over Auburn in the series sweep today on the Plains, but it wouldn't be so. In their final regular season game, the Alabama women's basketball team fell 80-73 to Auburn. The Tigers now a game ahead of the Tide in the SEC standings, and that is at the bottom of the standings. Brandy Montgomery had a game-high 30 points for the Tigers, while Tide freshman Hannah Cook scored a career-high 24 points. Key stat to the game, the Tigers scored 30 points off 24 Alabama turnovers. Christy Curry says after the game, hopefully the team can learn from this.
Again, it comes back and haunts us. We miss 10 free throws and lose by 7. Have 24 turnovers. We just don't have any margin for error. And the team that makes the most mistakes with both of us, if you go back and look throughout the season with our inexperience, often loses. And we've just got to take this into the off season and continue to learn, and hopefully don't want to feel this way anymore. And I'm sure that they've been able to finish with 3 wins. We've been able to finish with 2, and both of us have an awful lot of lessons that we can take in and continue to grow from.
A great game for Cook. She scores 24 on 7 of 11 from the field. Alabama will be the 14th seed in the SEC tournament, which begins on Wednesday from Little Rock, Arkansas. They'll face 11 seed Vanderbilt, who they lost to by 3 back in January. So another disappointing loss for Christy Curry's team. That seems to be going around this weekend.
It has been. Anthony Grant and the men's team, also a tough road loss on Saturday up in Nashville. The Tide led by as many as 14 points on Saturday, but Vanderbilt's three-point shooting and Alabama's inability to make shots haunted the Tide in a 73-66 loss. Anthony Grant says a lot of miscues piled up, which is why the Tide ended up on the wrong end of the scoreboard.
I thought early in the half we got some good looks that we weren't able to get to fall to answer their run. We talked about the need for us to be able to get ourselves to the free throw line and be able to attack them. And we weren't able to do that tonight. Down the stretch, it's a 2-possession game with a couple minutes to play, and we needed to be able to come up with some stops and some rebounds. And we weren't able to do that.
So Bama falls to 7-9 in the SEC. It's senior night on Tuesday against Ole Miss, so get out there for Levi Randolph, Rodney Cooper, and Dakota Slaughter. Make sure those guys are appreciated. The Tide will finish their regular season Saturday at Texas A&M.
Former Alabama player Jermichael Green was rewarded today by the Memphis Grizzlies with a 3-year contract. He just finished up his second 10-day contract with the club, and last night the two sides worked out a deal to keep Green with the Grizz the rest of this year and an additional 2 years after that. The Sprint Cup guys were in Atlanta today. Jeff Gordon made his debut at this track in 1992. 23 years ago, he wrecked, and today gets the same result. Thanks to Denny Hamlin, who caused this huge pileup, which ate up Gordon's car. He was okay afterwards. His teammate Jimmy Johnson would be better because he took the checkered flag. His 4th win at Atlanta, but first there since 2007. Well, Alabama softball raced to the finish of their weekend series with 5th-ranked Louisiana Lafayette today.
And with a win, they would take the series, which is their final non-conference series before SEC play begins. The 4th-ranked Tide looking for their 15th win on the season. We had a pitcher's duel going into the bottom of the 6th. Tied at 1. Jaden Spencer puts the Tide ahead with the fielder's choice. Demi Turner comes around to score, but the Cajuns, they were down to their final out in the 7th. Shelly Landry at the dish. She has the clutch gene. Solo home run for her. That ties it all up. But you know what, Jen? Bama, they've got some clutch in them too, in the form of All-American Haley McClenny. The walk-off sac fly. Bama wins 3-2, and Murph was happy with the result of this series.
We started Sydney, Lexi, and Leslie today. All 3 got a start. All 3 pitched really, really well. And going into the SEC play, that's what we wanted to see. You know, we brought in a top 5 team, undefeated, and to come away with a series win against them is awesome. I thought we played really well defensively, and again, the pitchers though I thought were the key to the weekend.
Here's how the rest of the week shakes out. The Tide will be off until Friday when SEC play begins, as we said, against Ole Miss. Then next week, they're going to have a midweek home game against UAB. So a great series win over a top 5 opponent. Can't beat that.
And coming up next, we'll find out if the baseball team could do the same. Plus, a special look at Alabama baseball coach Mitch Gaspard, his recruiting philosophy, and what makes the head man tick. We have the story when Sports Sunday returns.
We're back on Sports Sunday. Alabama baseball wrapped up a 3-game series against Louisiana Lafayette today at the Hoover Met. Here's the only Alabama highlight you will see. Mikey White goes 2 for 4 with a double and a solo home run, but he did not rub off on the pitching staff. Jen, listen to this. The Cajuns pound out 14 runs to claim the game and the series. 14-2 was the final. Not exactly the way you wanted to finish that series, but now in his 6th year, Mitch Gaspard has a chance to take his team to the postseason for the 3rd year in a row.
And it's his philosophy and drive that has Alabama baseball looking to continue a winning tradition.
To be the head coach at the University of Alabama is a dream come true.
The face of the Alabama baseball program grew up in Port Arthur, Texas, a town much like Tuscaloosa, known first for its football. But it was America's pastime that drew Mitch Gaspard in.
The game and the passion of baseball really in itself is something very unique and special. But also the surroundings of what goes on in a baseball game is something special. I mean, what music's playing and just what's going on outside of the ballpark. The weather, you know, there's nothing like being at a baseball game with great weather.
The Alabama skipper says words can't accurately describe the pride that is associated with Alabama athletics.
You either grab onto that pride that it instills in you, or you're not here very long. And I think regardless of where my path ends up, the University of Alabama will always be in my blood. And I think that's, for most people that come through here, it's just a special place.
That exact sentiment was evident when Gaspard was only an assistant coach in the 90s and was recruiting his first player, Andy Phillips. Phillips would go on to be an All-American for the Tide and play professionally for 12 seasons.
There was a confidence that he exuded, about all of the players that played under him. He just had a real belief in us, and so it became infectious. You couldn't help but start to believe in yourself because you knew there was a coach out there that believed in what you were doing.
Nearly 20 years later, the head coach's genuine nature still shines during the recruitment process.
It just seemed like he was a really big players coach, and everybody loved to be around him and joke around with him, but he was still really serious.
So what does a guy who has led his program to the postseason 4 out of his first 5 seasons as a head coach look for in a player?
We want a guy with competitive fire. And when a guy has that competitive fire, we feel like we can take him to another level. And that's what we want to see, because we know this is a game that's based on failure. You've heard it many times. Guys go 3 out of 10 in most sports. It's a failure. In our sport, you're in the Hall of Fame. So we want guys that understand that, but also aren't willing to accept that. But they will fight and grind and do the things they have to do to get better year in, year out.
White says Gaspard knows when to laugh, but he also knows when to light into a player. and it's that combination that keeps the team motivated.
It's not that he's putting you down at all. It's kind of he's building you up and telling you that you're better than what you just gave him, and he demands more out of you.
Now, as an assistant coach for the Tide, Phillips credits Gaspard's investment into the person, not just the player, for the reason parents trust in the Roll Tide way.
I don't think there's any greater compliment than that. I mean, I know as a father, I mean, anytime you move into a situation and then you can trust people with the livelihood of your children, you know, on the field, off the field, I mean, I think that says enough.
It is about winning and losing on the field. We all know that, but it's also about taking these guys to a new level when they leave here. At the end of the day, it's really important to me to grow these young men into husbands, into men, into the things that you really want to do.
Jen Chapman for WVUA Sports. Bama is currently 7-4 on the year. This week they are in Montgomery on Tuesday against Auburn, and then a 3-game series in Mobile against Lipscomb this upcoming weekend. So impressive right there, and he does not age. I actually got footage mixed up from 20 years ago to now. I really got them confused when I was editing.
He's a good-looking man, Mitch Gaspard.
Okay, we're wrapping up the show when we come back with a few of our favorite things.
Like Mitch Gaspard.
I'll leave that to you.
Stick around. We've got our favorite things next. Stick around.
And we're back on Sports Sunday with our favorite things. This week, it's high school basketball. No shoe contracts, no endorsements, just a bunch of high school kids hooping it up and celebrating titles.
Look at them. They're having a great time. You know, it's one of my all-time favorite events to cover. Congrats to all those teams who made it to Birmingham, especially those who took home the blue trophies. Hoover, Homewood, Winona. Let's keep looking at this video because all these kids, they deserve it. They work hard all off season long. Over 15,000 fans took in that tournament this week. A lot of memories that they made. And, you know, just covering that, it's always my favorite because you see the ups, you see the downs. It's always fun to see that, especially at that level, the high school level where it's still pretty pure.
Especially with the seniors, they just throw it all out there and put it all on the line. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. That's all the time we have for tonight. A lot more stuff coming up this week. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.